All right. Everyone, we've got to talk about the latest developments in Donald Trump's legal battles, specifically his hush money conviction. A Manhattan judge has officially denied Trump's attempt to throw out the case, despite his team trying to use a recent Supreme Court ruling on presidential immunity as their ace card. This is a huge decision with implications not only for Trump, but also for how we think about presidential accountability moving forward. So let's break it all down. First, let's set the stage. This all goes back to a case that has been following Trump for years, those 34 felony counts of falsifying business records. It all stems from a $130,000 hush money payment to adult film actress Stormy Daniels back in 2016, right before the presidential election. Now, according to prosecutors, the payment was part of a scheme to keep Daniels quiet about her alleged affair with Trump, which, let's be real, could have been a game changer if it went public during the campaign. Trump has denied the affair ever happened and says the payment had nothing to do with influencing the election. But a jury back in May didn't buy that story and handed down the historic conviction. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. Here's where it gets even messier. Just a month after that conviction, the Supreme Court ruled on a completely separate case about presidential immunity. They decided that ex-presidents cannot be prosecuted for things they did while in office if those actions were part of their official duties. This ruling wasn't about Trump's hush money case, but his legal team saw an opening. They argued that some of the evidence used against him in the trial, things like financial disclosure forms, testimony from White House aides, and even his social media post, was tied to his time as president. Their argument: that evidence shouldn't have been allowed because it was protected under presidential immunity, and without it, the conviction doesn't hold up. And here's the kickers. Judge Merchan wasn't having it. In his ruling, Merchan said that even if some of the evidence could be linked to Trump's official duties, it was a drop in the bucket compared to the mountain of evidence proving Trump's guilt. He straight up called any mistakes about introducing evidence harmless errors because, in his view, the prosecution's case was rock solid without it. And honestly, that's a big deal. It means that even if Trump's team is right about some of their immunity claims, it doesn't change the outcome of the trial. Naturally. Trump's team is furious. His communications director, Stephen Chong, went on the offensive, calling the decision a direct violation of the Supreme Court's ruling on immunity. He argued that this case should have never been brought in the first place and demanded its immediate dismissal. Meanwhile, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, who led the prosecution, has stayed pretty quiet. No comment from his office, but they've made it clear before that they believe this conviction should stick. Now, let's talk about what makes this case so unique and complicated. Trump isn't just any defendant. He's set to return to the White House next month.
Yeah.
You heard that right. Come January 20th, he'll be sworn in as president again, making him the first convicted felon to hold the office. And that creates a ton of legal and logistical questions. For starters, what happens to the case now? The judge already postponed Trump's sentencing indefinitely after his election win. Originally, the plan was to sentence him in late November, but that obviously didn't happen. Prosecutors have floated a few ideas to navigate this uncharted territory. One suggestion: put the case on ice until Trump leaves office in 2029. Another idea is to agree that no matter what, Trump won't face jail time. And here's the wildest one: just close the case altogether without ever sentencing him, but leave the conviction on record. That last option is based on what some states do when a convicted person dies before their sentencing. Trump's team, of course, called that suggestion absurd and unconstitutional. And look, Trump's lawyers aren't just fighting for dismissal because of the Supreme Court ruling. They're also arguing that this whole thing undermines the transfer of power and disrupts the presidency itself. They're framing it as a constitutional crisis, saying that keeping this conviction alive would interfere with Trump's ability to govern. It's a bold strategy, but it's unclear if it'll work. Meanwhile, prosecutors aren't backing down. They've made it clear they think this conviction should stand as a matter of accountability. They're not asking for jail time or even pushing to wrap this case up immediately, but they don't want it to just disappear either. It's a fine line to walk, especially with Trump about to retake the highest office in the land. And let's not forget, this isn't the only legal battle Trump is dealing with. Last year alone, he was indicted 4 times. 2 federal cases, including one about classified documents at Mar-a-Lago and another about his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, have been dropped now that he's president-elect again. But there's also that state election interference case in Georgia, which is mostly on hold for now. In every case, Trump denies any wrongdoing. So what's next? Honestly, it's hard to say. Trump's team is still pushing to get the conviction thrown out entirely. And the judge's decision on Monday was just one part of the process. There's still a lot up in the air. And the fact that Trump is about to take office again only makes it more complicated. Yeah, this is truly unprecedented. We've never seen anything like it. A president-elect facing a felony conviction while preparing to take the oath of office. It raises so many questions about the balance of power, the rule of law, and how we hold leaders accountable. What do you guys think? Should this case be dismissed because of presidential immunity, or should the conviction stand regardless of Trump's upcoming presidency? Let me know in the comments. I'll keep following this story and keep you updated as it unfolds. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.